Coming up on today's show, there are rumours flying around that say a longer-range BMW i3 is on the way with a 200-mile battery pack. Munroe and Associates say that the Model 3 electric car is solidly profitable, and a Silicon Valley startup comes out of stealth and says we'll get our flying cars in the next year. For a price, of course. These stories and more coming next. Hi there, we did it folks, we just crossed over our 50,000th subscriber to this channel, and I've got to say, it's an incredible feeling. Thanks to each and every one of you who have supported the channel thus far, be it by watching the ads before each video or by making a monthly contribution via Patreon. Thank you, you all rock. Beamer Today, a German-based news site that's known for being pretty accurate with its BMW rumour reporting, published a story this week that got everyone talking. Citing sources at the company, it claims a new battery for the i3 electric car is on the way that could push the i3's range in excess of 350 kilometres, 217 miles. That rating is based off the overly optimistic NEDC test cycle, but given the rumoured capacity of the battery pack, 42 kilowatt hours, we should see easily more than 150 miles in the real world. Unlike other automakers, BMW does currently offer battery upgrades for lower capacity i3s, meaning conceivably those of you with earlier model year i3s could get a massive boost in range just by upgrading the battery. Sadly, it's a rumour right now, but I'll let you know if I hear anything more concrete. Just as last week's show was going live, the Goodwood Festival of Speed was taking place in the UK, and as promised, Volkswagen's ID Pikes Peak race car competed on the super short British hill climb circuit, setting a new record for electric vehicles and third overall with a time of 43.86 seconds. There was also a hairy moment when the car decided to go off-road, but that's another story. Also competing at Goodwood was the NIO EP9 electric supercar, which managed to set a fastest time for street legal cars on slicks, setting a time of 44.61 seconds. While road legal, however, don't expect to be buying one anytime soon. The EP9 is essentially NIO's halo car with its sibling, the ES8 crossover, currently on sale in China. Congratulations to both teams, and here's to more record setting next year. While you may not see one yet where you live, Hyundai has now officially begun production and sales of the Kona Electric SUV in South Korea, selling some 1,000 examples to its domestic market and shipping another 1,120 or so to the export world. Norway is likely to be one of the first markets to get the Kona Electric, with only the long-range 64 kilowatt-hour battery pack variant offered there. A shorter range version will be offered in some markets with a 39.2 kilowatt-hour battery pack, but with the pricing yet to be announced in most markets, we'll have to wait a little longer to find out which markets get which models and for how much. Volvo's Polestar brand is currently getting its first car ready for market, the Polestar 1, a high-performance carbon fibre plug-in hybrid coupe with a six-figure price tag. But last weekend at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, Polestar COO Jonathan Goodman let out a few details about the Polestar 2. Rather than be a plug-in hybrid, this vehicle will be an all-electric model that Volvo's performance brand hopes will cross-shop against the Tesla Model 3. Similar in size to the Volvo XC40, the electric crossover is expected to debut sometime next year and will likely be offered with a range of different battery pack and motor combinations, just like the Tesla Model 3, the car Volvo is clearly wanting to chase in the marketplace. Expect more firm details in the coming months. Panasonic, Tesla's #1 battery partner and heavy investor in Gigafactory 1, has officially suspended its ties with a Canadian cobalt supplier due to possible violation of the US trade embargo with Cuba. The company in question sourced some of its cobalt from Cuba, a practice which could have caused Panasonic, and thus Tesla, to fall foul of current US administration trade embargoes on the nation. Tesla and Panasonic recently announced that they've tweaked their lithium-ion battery production process to minimize the amount of cobalt used in their battery packs, so this shouldn't have a long-term effect on either company's battery production, especially since Panasonic appears to have other cobalt suppliers it can use to take up the slack. It may have not received its official production debut yet, but it seems that the Porsche Taycan, nay Mission E, has captured a great deal of interest among loyal Porsche fans, with the company stating this week that customers are already jockeying for position on the waitlist. While official figures are yet to be released, Porsche's UK managing director told Autocar this week that the 2019 Taycan is based on an all-new Porsche platform called J1. This allows for super-fast charging, a chassis-mounted battery pack, and powerful all-wheel drivetrain. Porsche says the car will also copy Tesla's over-the-air update system, hinting that customers may be able to upgrade their car's performance on an ad hoc basis using over-the-air updates. Is the Tesla Model 3 profitable? It's a question that both Tesla shorts and Tesla fans have been trying to answer for months, and now renowned automotive engineering teardown company Munroe and Associates thinks it has the answer. Yes. Completing its months-long teardown of the luxury sedan, Sandy Munroe and his company says that the Model 3's clever cell design and construction, something he was initially wary of, appears to make the Model 3 a profitable car, estimating more than a 30% profit margin on it at the moment. I should of course note here that the car Munroe and Associates dismantled wasn't an entry-level Model 3, but a higher-spec long-range Model 3, and that means that the entry-level Model 3 could net Tesla even more margin. This means Tesla should soon be able to start paying off its massive debts, assuming of course it doesn't undertake any more big projects, and start turning an overall profit. Nissan's tuning arm, Nismo, has officially unveiled the performance-tweaked version of the current new Nissan LEAF, with the first LEAF Nismo cars due to go on sale in Japan at the end of this month. With Nismo body kit and special black 18-inch wheels, the LEAF Nismo does look slightly different to the regular LEAF. But, says Nissan, it also includes a tuned chassis and tuned power controller, giving a stronger acceleration and sportier handling. There's no words on pricing yet, but unless you happen to live in a place with a grey market stream of imported LEAFs, don't expect one of these in your area anytime soon. They're usually Japan only. With the dual-motor Model 3 and performance Model 3 now rolling off the production lines, the US EPA has published official ratings for both cars. While the standard range per charge remains the same for each vehicle, something Tesla has intentionally underestimated to ensure that all three current Model 3 long-range variants manage the same 310 miles per charge, the Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive and performance variants use 3 kilowatt-hours per 100 miles more than the standard rear-wheel drive long-range Model 3, meaning that they are a tiny bit more expensive and a little less efficient to drive. But when we're talking pennies difference in charging power, it's not really anything you should worry about. With ongoing tariff wars between the US and the rest of the world and a desire to produce vehicles reasonably close to where they will be sold, Volkswagen is eyeing up the US as the centre for its next wave of EV production. While Volkswagen does not yet have a specific location in mind, its CEO of North America said this week that the company wants to produce the ID Cross crossover and ID Buzz microbus at US factories, as it's the only way that it can produce high volume numbers of both vehicles for the US market. With the ID Cross and ID Buzz expected in 2020 and 2022 respectively, and since Volkswagen recently all but halted e-Golf production for the US, if you want an electric Volkswagen and you can't find existing stock, you've got a year or more to wait to get one. Despite the departure of global warming skeptic Scott Pruitt at the US EPA earlier this month, the US EPA and National Highway Traffic Safety Administration are readying themselves to publish proposals that will set in motion the rolling back of corporate average fuel economy targets for 2020 through 2026, as set by the previous administration. Sources close to both agencies, who aren't stating their names publicly due to fear of reprisals from the Trump administration, say that one option will be freezing current mileage standards for the next 6 years, with NHTSA expected to state that a 1975 law prohibits the state of California and other states from setting their own vehicle efficiency standards. Given the state of California and many older states wholeheartedly disagree and are continuing to push for cleaner, greener vehicles, this is going to be quite a fight, regardless of which side of the political aisle you sit. It's official. While the Tesla Model S and Model X may have the plug-in market sewn up in Norway, Nissan's new Leaf is now the most popular electric car in Europe, with 18,000 new Leafs registered in the first 6 months of this year and a total of 37,000 Leafs ordered since the new version of the Leaf launched in Europe last October. It's a stark contrast to the US, where Nissan is struggling to sell a fraction of the number of Leafs per month that it is in Europe. Of course, the Model 3 isn't yet available in Europe and that will impact sales, and while the Renault Zoe, not available in the US, is a great long-distance option for those looking for an affordable plug-in in Europe, the Leaf's other main competitor in the US, the Bolt EV or Ampera E EV, isn't sold in large enough quantities to impact total Leaf sales. Hypermiling, a technique aimed at getting the very best fuel economy out of a car, can really make a difference in an EV when it comes to extending the range possible per charge. And this week, a German electric car rental company called Nextmove set a new record in hypermiling, driving a Model 3 long-range 622 miles, 1,001 kilometers on a single charge. But unlike previous tests, this was done in autopilot mode, with nobody driving the car and a dummy placed in the driver's seat to trick Tesla's systems into thinking there was a human there. The attempt, carried out on a closed course at the Dekra testing grounds, showed that in ideal situations, Tesla's systems can be more efficient than a human. But please, don't try this at home. Oh, and in related news, Tesloop, the Tesla-based taxi service operating between Las Vegas and Los Angeles, announced one of its Model S cars has just rolled over 400,000 miles in 3 years, making it the highest reported Tesla Model S in the world. Using a Tesla Model S rather than another luxury car has saved the company more than an estimated $60,000 in both fuel and maintenance. Sadly, however, the car is on its third battery pack, with Tesla noting that high-frequency continuous supercharging hasn't been nice to the battery over time, replacing the original and second battery packs under warranty. With more and more EVs now entering into their twilight years, the number of used electric car battery packs are on the rise, and that means we're starting to see more second-life battery projects. This week, a new one went online thanks to a collaboration between BMW and EVGo, which will see used i3 battery packs repackaged to provide grid-tied storage to high-power EVGo quick charging stations. By doing so, the charging station provider can help avoid high-demand charges from the local utility company, as well as allow it to pull power from the grid during low-cost and low-demand periods to store locally at the station for use later. It's a win-win-win all round and should help literally everybody. And finally, after 9 years of operating in stealth mode, Silicon Valley startup Opener, which is backed by Google co-founder Larry Page, has gone public with details of its BlackFly, a personal all-electric vertical takeoff and landing drone with a range of about 25 miles per charge and an option for charging that will enable a full refuel in just 25 minutes. What's more, it's already certified for flight in the US and Canada under the ultra-light vehicle classification. Prices are expected to be about the price of an SUV, so it's not going to be something everyone can afford, but I totally want to go. What about you? And on that note, it's the end of this week's show. But before I go, I just want to respond to those of you who've been calling on Transport Evolved to wade into the controversy this week between Elon Musk and the British cave rescuer in Thailand, who Musk had said some pretty inflammatory and nasty things about this week. While I am personally shocked and disappointed at Musk's behaviour, we made an editorial decision to not give it any coverage in this week's show, although perhaps, like another well-known tweeter, a little less time on Twitter might just be a good thing for Mr. Musk. As usual, like, comment, subscribe, and support us if you can using one of the links below, and give us some social media buzz if you're so inclined. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget to keep pushing to be better, smarter, and kinder. Keep evolving.